Hello! Welcome back to Grim Dawn Developers streams. I'm known as Zantai on the forums for the uninitiated, but I think most of the people here are kind of our regulars, I get the impression. How are you guys doing today on this Friday afternoon? Well, depending on where you are, I guess. Friday time. Tiny Zantai. Well, yeah, I guess my little window there. Bit too hot is how I'd put it here too, actually. Oh, we do have some new people. Look at that. Hover over my class on the map. I mean, my class is a class you're very familiar with. So what we have here actually is the quest hub that you'll be entering at the beginning of the Forgotten Gods expansion. Pretty early on in the game if you'd like. Because the prerequisite, for those that don't know already, is to clear Act 1. Act 1 as we call it, to defeat Warden Krieg. And then you will have access to this quest line, if you'd like. Or you can keep going to the main campaign, proceed to Ashes of Malmith, proceed to the next difficulty. You do not need to complete Forgotten Gods to unlock the next difficulty, just like with Ashes of Malmith. $185 here already. You think a few might be interested in this new game mode. I think they probably are. What's the point of this expansion? Does it add the ability to shoot more fireballs? Yeah. How could we add an expansion without adding more fireballs? That just seems pointless. These statues are so awesome. I was so impressed when they came online. Yes, this stream is officially PG-13, guys. Sorry if you're younger. Looks like an ancient time, well, a little bit. There was definitely a lot of Middle Eastern influence when we went into this. Some Egyptian influence, Persian. You got your parents' permission? That's good. I'll need that permission slip though. Is the DLC content for Grim Dawn accessible to modders? Yeah, absolutely. All of the data for Ashes of Malmith and when you purchase Forgotten Gods is there on your computer for you to extract and make mods with. Person on the left? I think you might recognize this armor, although the face needs a little bit of updating. Placeholder! Surprise! Sphinx Hut still needed for regular skill bar. That sounds like a mod to me. Hello! Yes, we're definitely gonna have a boss that's just a giant slow-moving slug with one ability as the final boss of the expansion. Music volume overshadows me a bit. Let's fix that. Sentinel armor, yes. Here's a little secret for you guys. If you like the Sentinel armor, you'll be able to get it as a set in Forgotten Gods. Where's the one and only Korvac? Huh? Guess you'll see. Show you the Korvac constellation already. Tell you what, at the end of this stream, I will show you the Korvac constellation. Remind me at the end if I forget. That'll be your spoiler, as if this whole game mode isn't gonna be a spoiler. This whole stream is a spoiler! Can I please start with the game? Less talking, more content showcase. Oh my, someone's impatient. Are we adding 6 or 7 new classes? At least 8.5 new classes. This is not the new music. The new music is still being worked on. So this is actually Ugdenbog music. Is Korvac an NPC? Not quite. 5 minutes of modding and you have Sentinel's armor transmog already. That is correct. Dat portal. Will I be upgrading my yacht after the Forgotten Gods release? Depends how many copies you guys buy, I suppose. This portal opening is so cool. I'm gonna close it. We'll just open it again and again. So sweet. Yeah, Ulgrim actually gets sucked into the Shadow Realm and you have to find him on level 100. That's the real secret. How many times is Zantai gonna die? On this character, not ruling that out. The portal should display each character's specific devotions though. That would be impressive. Opening the portal does not cost anything, that's correct. However, if you want to skip to a deeper shard in the Shattered Realm, you can craft waystones, which do cost resources and money. But that's only if you want to start at a particular floor. But if you're just starting a new, fresh run from the first shard, it doesn't cost anything at all. Hi Crate Studios, thank you for this awesome. It's the best ARPG on the market for me. Well, I'm glad you like it. Yeah, opening and closing the portal is a hidden microtransaction. Yeah, I'm actually just gonna there's nothing actually beyond that portal, it's all a ruse. We're just gonna stand out here. Oh, I clicked it. Is the Shattered Realm basically an infinite dungeon? Is there no end to it? Effectively, there's no end to it. You could go on forever. Based on just the amount of tuning we've done so far, you could probably get to like 1,000 floors. I don't know if anyone ever will get that far because it'll probably scale way too much. But you could. Let's not forget my mobility skills. And a crappy skeleton that won't scale with me at all because I have no pet bonuses on me. Can I name the release date for this add-on? All I can tell you right now is that it's coming later this year. Can you leave the realm? You can leave the realm in 2 ways. You can die, or you can finish it. If you do die, you can re-enter it. That is a fundamental difference from how roguelike dungeons have worked in Grim Dawn so far. You're not permanently locked out if you do fail by dying. If you're playing hardcore, well, that's kind of over for you, but I think that's a given. Is it randomly generated? Is that engine limitations that we have bypassed? So it is semi-random, and what I mean by that is that each of the levels is handcrafted. But the order of the levels that you'll run into them and what spawns on those levels is fully randomized. And right now, in the current test phase, we have something like 12 floors made, and we're going to add many, many more as we proceed with development. Hardcore characters can't actually leave except for Alta 4 finishing it. That would be correct, yes, just like the Crucible, effectively. Why would you be guaranteed to lose your character on Hardcore? No, Skeleton already died. I don't think I'm even gonna bother summoning him. Will modders be able to make their own levels to add to it? Yeah, if you mod the world, you can add more endless dungeon floors. You can add as many as you want. You can customize what sort of things spawn on those floors. You can customize how much it takes to clear a dungeon. So right now looks like the soul drops are a little too generous since I finished this floor a little too quickly. We'll have to tweak that, but the general idea is that you collect the Shattered Realm souls. When you fill the bar, you can proceed to the next floor. Yeah, so what does the purple bar mean? The purple bar is the progress bar for a particular chunk that you are on. Once you fill it, you can proceed. Will I give the controller players some love? And what sort of love are the controller players missing? Because they've gotten a lot of love when Ashes of Melmoth came out. No loot drops while you're clearing the dungeon. When you decide to cash out of the dungeon or proceed deeper is when you decide whether you want to get loot or not. The idea being is that you want to keep pushing and going, trying to beat that clock to get bonus rewards. If you had to stop to sort through your loot, that kind of detracts from that. Is there a reason to stay on the floor once the bar's filled? There's not. Once you clear a floor, everything on it is cleared out, and you just have a open path onwards to the next level. Making me try with these spawns, jeez. So many cures right away. How far do you have to go into the Shattered Realm before being offered the option to cash out? Each shard is 5 chunks. At the end of that, you fight a boss. And if you defeat the boss, you can decide whether you want to proceed or cash out. So every 5 floors, effectively, you can stop if you want loot. Are there any new class combinations coming? I don't know what you're talking about. Can the portal just spawn on you rather than spawning far away? There aren't plans to do that. I will tell you that based on the current tuning that's in here, it's a little over-tuned in terms of how quickly you clear a floor. You should be much closer to the end of it when you fill the bar. I just need to tweak some numbers later today. Dude, Nemesis bosses spawn here. Oh yeah. They can spawn in multiples. Can party members join you if you're X levels deep? Yes. So unlike the Crucible, where if a floor was in progress, you wouldn't be able to enter, here, a player could join you at any time and just hop in immediately to where you are, like get in there with you, start clearing mobs, proceed to the next level. As of right now, there's no way to customize or switch the click on left-right joystick. It's fixed and it's annoying because you simply press too hard and you switch weapons or skill without your intention. Can't you customize controllers 100% through Steam? Maybe I'm missing something. Does the clock restart after the first map? No, if you fail the clock, that's it. You failed the clock. You don't get the bonus. How many maps are there for the realm rotation? Right now there's 12. That's just for the testing phase, to make sure everything's working. But there will be many, many more that we will be adding on as we progress towards release. Will we have an option like Tiki Ragnarok to start a character of a higher level? No, we would. I don't think we'd ever do that. That seems like a weird solution to the problem you seem to be having. Any plans to the drop mechanic to add time? And we're about entering a clear speed meta. Well, yes, sort of. Sort of like in the Crucible, whenever you kill a hero or higher hero boss Nemesis, the clock gets incremented. We are adding that to the Shattered Realm. Actually, the programmer is working on it as we speak. How does the Shattered Realm fit into the lore? So I don't want to spoil anything, but the name of the expansion might be the reason why it's a Shattered Realm. Is there a John Bourbon level? That's not a bad idea. Code monkeys need to code monkey faster. That's not very nice. They've done a lot of code monkeying. Release date maybe around October, November. We'll see. It's coming later this year. Is there going to be any quality of life changes with the DLC, such as auto pickup on components? We are not planning to add any auto pickup mechanics. There are, however, all sorts of quality of life improvements, one of which I can actually show you here in a bit, which is the challenge layers, challenge areas. Another being the ability to reroll set items into other set items. There's all the movement skills. I haven't even been using that. I've got teleport on this guy. speaking to 300 plus people now. Look at that. I guess a lot of people want to know about this Shattered Realm business. That's cool. It's been a while since we had that many people on stream. What's the price point for the axe pack, if you don't mind me asking? The price point will be comparable to Ashes of Malmith. This is a pretty big expansion, just like Ashes of Malmith turned out to be. So pretty much something in the $10 to $20 range. We'll definitely give you a better idea once we're closer to release, and we've kind of locked down how much stuff we're adding, because we're still finishing the content right now. There's still more bosses being made, there's more dungeons being made. There's a lot of stuff. Any chance of getting more options for loot filters for things like monster frequency? I would definitely like to do something to make finding monster frequency easier for you guys. I haven't thought of a solution yet that is doable with our UI, and that won't take a ton of time, unfortunately. We'll see. I can't promise anything right now. Yeah, this is a Necromancer Occultist combination, a Kabbalist. Take your money so you can pre-order right now. What happens when the clock hits 0? When the clock hits 0, then you missed out on bonus loot. This is a pretty big expansion. Sounds like you're making it larger than intended again. Story of my life. Is Forgotten Gods already twice as big as planned, or are you still working on that? I guess we're still working on that. Is Forgotten Gods bigger than Malmith now? It depends on how you want to calculate it. It's kind of complicated since whereas Ashes of Malmith was 2 chapters of story, Forgotten Gods is technically 1, but it is a big chapter, and we're doing this game mode. So there's a lot of stuff. Have the new acts turn out bigger than expected, is the other content? Or is it the other content? I mean, the act, the chapter, is definitely turned out pretty big. There's a lot of side content in there that just kind of came about dynamically as we worked on it. Like, cool ideas came around. It's like, oh, that'd be really cool if we did this. And of course, then we do it, because we can't help ourselves. Are you going to meet the girl in the Ashes of Malmith's screen? Yes, yes you will. Her name is Basilla, and you'll meet her in the Conclave of the Three. How rare will new transmutation materials be? Transmutation materials? Are you talking about the stuff to transmute the sets? I mean, the ones that let you change an item in a set to the same set is not going to be the most common item in the world, the Celestial Lotus. But it's not going to be so forbiddingly rare that you're never going to want to reroll sets. Yes, you do not earn XP here until you cash out. It's just like the Crucible. So at the end, when you cash out, you get XP based on how far you got. And that goes up pretty high, depending on how far you went. Is this the last expansion for Grim Dawn? I think it's very likely that this will be the last big content push we do for Grim Dawn. It's just kind of the natural progression of a release product like this. There's a huge spike when the game came out, and sales are still trickling in for the base game, and then Ashes of Malmith came out, but the spike wasn't as big as the base game was, and that's fine. That's how expansions go. And we expect the Forgotten Gods will probably be a little bit lower than Ashes of Malmith, but still good enough that we thought it'd be worth making this expansion. Otherwise, we wouldn't be making it, financially speaking. How many new items? No, I can even just pop open that spreadsheet and see. So not counting lower level versions of items, there's over 200 new uniques, ton of used faction gear, ton of new monster infrequents. In GD2 do you get to meet the FG loading screen guy. I actually hope we can get the FG loading screen guy into FG. Will there be any way to skip Elite straight into Ultimate? Going through the main game and 2 expansions 3 times can become very tedious at times. I do understand that concern for some of you that have been playing the game for a long time and want to level a bunch of characters to the max difficulty. I actually have an idea for how to have a solution for this conundrum for those of you. The programmer is looking into how doable that solution will be and how long it will take. It's kind of a lot of factors are involved here. And the biggest one, honestly, is just that we don't want to break your characters. Primarily due to the various attribute and skill rewards that you get on normal and elite difficulty. When we released the expansion, we were a little more careful with that, and so the skill rewards are exclusive to Ultimate. When is Grim Dawn 2 coming out? It might be a while. Are we going to get a dope-ass sequel in the not near future? I can't tell you when a Grim Dawn 2 will come out, or if it will come out at this time. I think it would be pretty cool to do more of Grim Dawn and down the line. I think the people that are working on Grim Dawn might need a little bit of a break from working on Grim Dawn for so long. Do some new stuff. Try some different genres. There's, our other project that Medeir's been working on. We'll probably announce sometime. Didn't we say the same about Ashes of Malmith? I mean, I suppose we did, but it ultimately is a financially driven decision. I mean, I guess if Forgotten Gods blows us away in terms of how many copies sell, then maybe a third expansion would be discussed. But at this time, it's not something that we're definitely doing a third expansion. Yes, that's exactly right. You guys have more reasons to buy Forgotten Gods several times. Each person buys 3 copies. That'll be great, and they'll totally be a third expansion. I didn't say how many legendaries. Well, I said new uniques, so you can infer that some portion of those are legendaries. You hope with all the new stuff we'll get more bank space too. Yep, there's definitely going to be more stash space. We're getting 1 new tab for personal and transfer stash. Every time I say the programmer, you just see the screen slaver in your head. Perfect. That's exactly what you should be thinking of. That's how he looks. That's how he dresses. Are there any plans to get a transparent overlay map like D3 or PoE? There are no plans to do that. That was a deliberate design decision. I think you can dig up Medeir's reasoning for why somewhere on the forum. It's pretty old post, so it might take some digging, but it was a deliberate decision. It's sort of to keep you to playing the game instead of playing the map. You hope for Grim Dawn 2 and make our own engine. I mean, what do you think this is at this point? This engine has seen so many changes. It is the Grim Dawn engine at this point. Any plans for XP after max level, something like bonus XP or Paragon? Absolutely not. I think, on a personal level, that a character should have an endpoint, and Paragon levels just goes against that. I am not a fan of sort of endless grinding systems like that. If you decide to make Grim Dawn 2, can you confirm that one of the goals would be to use a new engine? I mean, I can't actually confirm that for you, because there's really 2 avenues we could take with Grim Dawn 2. Either we start with a new engine, and we rewrite a lot of the mechanics that we added for Grim Dawn to add it to that engine. Or we take the Grim Dawn engine, and we overhaul major components of it to bring it up to speed with whatever era we'll be in at the time, technology-wise. So upgrading an engine is not like an out of the question thing. That happens all the time. Unreal 4 is just Unreal 3 upgraded, which is Unreal 2 upgraded, which is Unreal upgraded. So that's just how engines work. Does Forgotten Gods play after Ashes of Malmith, or can you beat the base game and go to Forgotten Gods? To go to the Forgotten Gods content, you actually have to defeat Warden Krieg, and then you'll gain access to the NPC that will give you a portal to this new area. Did I tell you to blame TQ Engine for all the problems? Depends on which problems we're talking about. But, I mean, to some degree, it depends. There are engine limitations that, in some cases, are too much work to change to change. Is there going to be a level increase to 110 or Ascendant type for a couple more skills at 100 or anything like that? There will be more quest rewards that give you skill points on ultimate difficulty. The level cap is not changing very much. Oh yeah, Ice Prinzessin dug up the Madeira post on the map. Can you dare ask about a Linux version? Just kind of impossible with the current GD engine. I mean, nothing's impossible with an engine because you can rewrite any parts of it. It's just a matter of how long is it going to take, and is it financially viable? And the unfortunate answer with Linux is that the market share is just not big enough to warrant the work required. If you look at the Steam user survey, you'll find that Linux currently represents 0.5% of the Steam user base, and Steam is literally our biggest share of sales by a massive margin. Like 95% of sales are Steam. So if only 0.5% of people on Steam are using Linux, it is kind of difficult to justify the programming time necessary. I don't think anyone creates speaks French. I mean, paramour is I'm presuming a French word that got Englishized. New cinematic for Forgotten Gods yet? There probably will not be a cinematic, based on some external factors that made it too complicated this time around. We'll see. Will enemies in Forgotten Gods always scale with player then? They will still have level limits based on which difficulty you're playing on. They will have a pretty wide range because you can enter it at a minimum of like level 15 if you rush to the Warden. You're sort of an on and off player, and your argument might be invalid. Can the new movement skills help players like you who sometimes find the pace of a game a little bit too slow? I mean, they certainly will help you speed things up. I wouldn't say that they'll speed things up dramatically because they do have cooldowns. We don't want to turn this into a game where you're just teleporting around, or like a Diablo 2 era where barbs would leap over all the frickin' swamp in Act 3. That irritated me so much, playing with my friends. They'd be a barb and a sorceress, and I'd be a frickin' necromancer. And I'd have to run around all the shit while they just left and teleported. That was fair. One of your biggest issues with Grim Dawn is that you get lost trying to find quest locations. Are there any plans to improve map marking for quest zone areas? P.S. You've never finished the basic game because of frustration, issues, and lack of patience. And I think you're not going to really like my answer, because we kind of deliberately wanted Grim Dawn to be about the discovery and exploration, and the quest NPCs, when they give you the quests and the dialogues, and also the quest log, gives you directions for where to go, and when you get close to your quest target, that's when it gets shown on the minimap. And that is by design. That is not something that like, oh, well, we could still improve. Like, we actually deliberately want this experience to be this way. And I do realize that that isn't for everybody. You've added item transmutation to other item areas around the world. Use mutators, new game mode, movement runes. Can I say new game feature-wise, and you're not cutting items and new creeps, that this is it, or is there something else you won't confirm at this stage? There's something else that I haven't confirmed that's still coming. There's stuff. There's stuff, guys. More stuff. New level cap, 100.5. He's got it. What else will I cover today? You have to get ready for work soon. Well, I'm going to keep going through the dungeon here a little bit whenever I'm not answering your guys' questions. And you guys have a lot of questions today. At the end, as I promised at the beginning of the stream, I will show you the Corvette constellation. It's a pretty cool piece. And I'll show it to you at the end. And if you do miss it, because you have to go to work, the stream will be up on Twitch for 2 weeks, and then it will be up on YouTube as soon as we remember to put it up. We're pretty bad about that. I'm trying to catch up to the chat here. You guys are chatty. Finish the Shadow Realm and show challenge errors, please. Yes, I will definitely do that after this. Story-wise, when is the best moment to start with the Forgotten Goddess expansion? If you want like the smoothest story experience, I say just go play through Ashes of Malmith and then proceed to Forgotten Gods. But they're sort of divergent stories in a way, since they don't cover the same big threats. So there isn't really a problem if you go to Forgotten Gods first. If you do go to Forgotten Gods before, say, meeting Kaiman's Chosen and the Order of Death's Vigil, things might get a little tricky, but we accounted for those continuities. Will Shattered Realm enemies be fully randomized with each floor, not like the Crucible of set possible mobs per round? Exactly. Each floor has a huge selection of mobs that can spawn. So effectively, each time, even if you're under the same floor, you're going to run into new mobs. And once you get deeper into the Shattered Realm, that's when you might actually start seeing some traps spawning too. And those can do some really crazy things to rooms. Some really dangerous things. It's kind of bullshit, but it's fun. Is there going to be a vendor that rerolls stat tiers or vendor that adds random prefix or suffix to an item that only has one prefix or suffix? I wouldn't say we're planning to do anything like that. Me keeping secrets from you? Me? Never. Yeah, just close the chat so I won't see any more questions. What is the MI availability from the realms? The Shattered Realm has pretty similar loot tables to how the Crucible works. Once you get to a certain level of chest quality, you're going to start seeing monster infrequents, but they'll be random. So if you want to target a particular monster infrequent, doing it out in the main world is still the way to go. Especially with the addition of these new challenge layers, which will actually increase the quality of those monster infrequents. So if this is about, will you have more quest missions where you can change the outcome of base? Like you do something for an NPC and can make the base look better. It's not as big of a feature in Forgotten Gods, since these guys already have kind of an established base when you come there. So it didn't really make sense thematically for you to be improving that for them. But you still do have an impact on some of the NPCs in town. And you actually choose which of the 3 Witch God cults you want to work with, which will actually change what quests you do to get to the ending. Sir, this has been asked before. Can we expect the new add-on 2018 or 2019? It is coming 2018, later this year. I can't tell you which month yet, but it's still on track. Do the mobs fight each other in the Shadow Realm like Death's Vigil and Kaiman's? No. In the Shadow Realm, all mobs are friends, and they hate you. Any plans to let people reset their Kaiman's versus Order of Death's Vigil reputation? Sometimes you click the wrong thing when you're tired and it makes me a bit sad. You can change your choice on higher difficulty. So if on normal you choose Kaiman's, on Elite you can choose Order, and on Ultimate you can decide. Did Grava make a bridge room for the Shadow Realm? You know what? He should. I think I've caught up. Favorite witch god, everyone. Yeah, which is your favorite witch god? Which of the 3? How many people work at Crate now? The number of people working here hasn't changed, still 13. We have not made any new hires in recent months. we did have to ramp up on our programmers for the other project. Zentai's your favorite? Thank you. I'm not really a witch god, but I'll take it. Get some ectoplasm from this guy. My mana keeps running out. That looks like a mess down there. Let's go to somewhere else. There's a new mastery coming in the game. Sorry if this has been asked before. It's definitely been asked before. So many vampiric assholes. It's like the game knows what my main damage type is and specifically caters to that. There it is! Died on chunk 4. Scrub. And as you can see, when I re-entered the dungeon, I appear on the same floor that I stopped. So this is totally intentional. I totally died right now so I could show you guys how it works. Would it be possible to put items directly from a currently played character to another character's stash? No, that's not gonna work very well. All I have to do is just collect a couple more souls. Am I confirming that the game knows your damage types? No, it just feels that way. The game doesn't literally counter your damage types with spawn. Although it does feel that way a lot for me. So now we're on chunk 5, which is a boss level. And who have we got here? Nobody, because apparently it glitched out. Did we get an error? Well, I'll have to check the log. Great. Of course this will happen on stream. The boss has run away. Hold on, I'm gonna have to actually grab that log to see what happened. This is where we're still in testing. How randomized are the maps? So as I said earlier, each floor is handcrafted, but which floors you get are random. Can I fix a sound bug on Asus Essence STX sound cards with the expansion? That sounds like a very specific user and hardware bug. So no, I don't think we're going to be able to fix that bug, because that sounds like a bug on your end, unfortunately. A bug on their end. How many boss arenas will there be? There's 3 right now, but we'll be adding more. Correct. Unlike the Crucible, dying doesn't send you back to the beginning. You can continue no matter how many times you die. So challenge layers. Hopefully each post-expec patch will add a few more floor patterns. That's possible. I wouldn't rule that out. Does this mode have unlimited levels, or is it like the Crucible? This mode is effectively unlimited, but it scales pretty aggressively as the higher you go, so eventually you're probably going to reach a point where you will die. Will there be a local Shattered Realm leaderboard similar to the one for the Crucible? Probably not, unless you guys really want that. I don't know where we'd put it, since this isn't its own game mode like the Crucible was. Yes, it's still an unsafe death. You do not want to die in there if you're playing on hardcore. Will Nemesis named bosses be main campaign strong or Crucible strong in the Shattered Realm? In the Shattered Realm, everything is main campaign strong. So, whatever you're used to in the Crucible, it's gonna be tougher here. Mainly because you're not going to be in as enclosed of a space. If you die, you just have an opportunity to keep going. If you don't finish the boss, you don't have an opportunity to get loot. When do we get some new information about the new game mode Crate is working on? When Madeira decides that it is ready for you to see. So can we finish the game mode by winning or only by losing? You're confused because I've said that it ends if we win or lose, and I said it's unlimited, and what the fuck? There's no win or lose. There is you got to a checkpoint or you didn't. So every boss, you get to decide, do I want to grab my loot or do I want to go further? And if you get to the point where you actually can't beat it, that's kind of the risk you've taken. You need to be able to beat the boss to get the loot. If you beat the timer, you get bonus loot. The timer doesn't prevent you from earning loot at all. Mog Ravager every 100 floors, right? Exactly. They'll be together. They'll be working together for the first time in centuries. So things like Arcane and Reflective will work in the Shadow Realm. Yes, exactly. So, Arcane mobs are back! Yeah, so if the boss doesn't spawn, that's definitely time to quit the game and start over, or fix the bug. Will you need Ashes of Mammoth to play Forgotten Gods? Yes. Because Forgotten Gods adds new items for Inquisitor and Necromancer, it requires Ashes of Mammoth to work. Is the realm the only addition to the game, or will there be quests like normal game also? Of course. I mean, there's a whole huge chapter of story that we're adding. The Shattered Realm is on top of that. You're getting all of it with Forgotten Gods. Is it going to be more effective when it comes to getting legendaries in this mode than Crucible? I think that'll be for the community to decide. Do we get arcane damage then? You mean elemental damage? Will you have a Steam bundle for Ashes of Malefice, Forgotten Gods, and/or base game? I think down the line that is certainly a possibility. I'm not sure when Madeira plans to do that. I think it will happen. How many different mutators are there? I think 30? I forget. There's a bunch that affect players and a bunch that affect monsters. How much will it cost if you have all the other expansions so far? Are you talking about a bundle? I mean, whatever rules Steam has for bundle discounts. I think if you own all but one of a product in the bundle, then Steam doesn't let you buy a bundle. Will we rework bullets the same way as the new movement skills? No, because Blitz is a movement skill type. It's a type that has you charging to an enemy. That is literally one of the options you have on the runes. Will old classes get any love as Inquisitor and Necromancer? New items for those? By love you mean like new gear? Well, of course. There's going to be all sorts of new gear for existing classes. How are the amount of mutators decided? The mutator number is decided based on the shard you're in. So the deeper you go, the more mutators you'll contend with. You can actually end up with more mutators in the Shattered Realm than the Crucible. Are the mutators the same as in the Crucible? Yes. So the same collection of mutators that you've already been fighting against in the Crucible will be in the challenge areas, they'll be in the Shattered Realm. How much will the expansion be on its own? As I've answered this question earlier, it's going to be in a similar range to Ashes of Malmeth because it is pretty big in size, just like Ashes of Malmeth was. So as of right now, until we finalize the price, I'm going to tell you it's going to be in the $10 to $20 range. When and how do you get exclusive legendary set from the Shattered Realm? It's based on your progression. So there are certain thresholds that if you meet, you'll get a piece of the set. And the deeper you go, you'll get another piece until you complete the set. What kind of skill will Soldier's Blitz be turned into? It will be turned into Blitz. Because it is Blitz. Can you end up with 69 mutators? No. Customizable Will-O-Wisp in a jar? That is a very specific request. Can I show you bonuses for higher level runes? Let's see. How about... Don't even remember what that rune is. Oh, it's a teleport rune. Right. Will the difficulty scale with how many people are in it? I mean, that's just standard multiplayer scaling for Grim Dawn. It'll get harder with more people. Will there be MI boots? We are not adding MI boots now. Can I zoom in on the person on the left? That is in fact the Sentinel set, with a placeholder face. Is there going to be any procs on items in Forgotten Gods, or are you dead set on not adding those for endgame items? Just like Ashes of Malmeth added new procs, Forgotten Gods will add new procs as well. There are certain gear slots that prioritize modifiers, and that will still be the case in Forgotten Gods. Will there be a bundle option of main game plus both expansions at discounted price? As I've said a few minutes ago, actually, maybe you just joined. Probably down the line, yes. It's up to Midir to decide when and if that happens. Will the Edge of Reality and Malmeth Outskirts get mutators as a challenge area? You're talking about the secret dungeon? Yes, it will have mutators, and that means it will have better loot. I'm gonna open this portal again, because it's so cool. That portal. Is this the highest level rune? This one here? No. This is a tier 2 rune. There's no difference in rewards between 150 or 170 Crucible. Is there such a thing in the Shadow Realm and it makes no sense to go further in terms of loot? Well, first off, you're actually incorrect. There is a difference between 170 and 150 loot. The quality of the chests keeps going. It kind of levels off a bit, so you're not getting as much loot as kind of up to 150, but you're still getting better loot. In terms of this, it's kind of similar. It's going to be kind of taper off at a certain point. Well, I'm kind of getting off camera. So, challenge area. Let's see. Let's go to Steps of Torment. You haven't played the game in a while, but does the game engine have better CPU multi-core support yet? It's always had multi-core support. The fact that some people think there isn't multi-core support is this, like, misconception that's just refuses to die. What's the first steps for recharging teleport? I forget, I think it was like 3.5 seconds. But that's like a dedicated teleport, it doesn't do damage. That's if you want to have all the mobility and none of the utility. Did someone already ask for level cap? Will be raised. It's not changing very much. Yeah, 100.05. Oh, it's gone even lower? Exclusive set you're adding to the Shadow Realm. What classes would it benefit, or is it more generic? It is actually a generic set. I think the typical person will probably have it for the transmog, but it'll just be a unique set that's a little less class specific. I'm not sure it'll be the most powerful set, because we don't want to turn into the point where you get the Shattered Realm set and nothing else matters anymore. But it's gonna look pretty damn cool. This Forgotten God's gonna have some sick speed tech that'll let me take the world record back. I mean, the mobility skills will definitely speed things up. I don't know how much they would really change the record. I suppose people will probably use teleport in clever ways to get around certain walls and stuff, just a little bit faster. Because ultimately those speedrun records are beat by seconds. Too far. The level cap pre-Forgotten Gods, I mean, first it was 85, then we raised it to 100 in Ashes of Malmith. So we've entered a treacherous domain. And you can see there's a mutator active. Enemies here have higher health, more damage, and some other stat boosts to make them just a little bit more dangerous than enemies outside. But in exchange for that, they have a much higher chance to drop good loot, particularly rare items. And of course this guy drops something but yellows. Typical. Just when I'm trying to explain how it's better. There it is. Any new leveling gear like Lokar's set, maybe different slots? I think in terms of leveling gear, Lokar's does a pretty good job. I don't know if we really need to add any more. If Forgotten Gods ends up being less expansion, how much longer do you expect GD to be supportive of balance changes and bug fixes? As long as it makes sense to. Just because we're not going to work on a whole giant expansion doesn't mean that we'll just stop all updates as soon as Forgotten Gods is out. We have ideas for what we could do for post-release stuff. Whether that means some new items or more floors for the Endless Dungeon. Might even do some more story content potentially. And we'll see. And there's going to be additional balance tuning, because there will be new items. There's going to have to be some tweaks to make sure everything's competitive and build diversity goes up. Challenge mode, there is no challenge mode. There's certain areas that are more difficult. But that's already generally been the case. There are certain areas in the game that already were more difficult, but the loot actually wasn't really that much better than areas that weren't as challenging. So this actually allows us to not only tweak that difficulty with the mutators and stuff, but we actually substantially increase the drop rate of rare items. What is Crate's stance on class imbalances, where certain builds wreck Crucible 170 while others with just in slot gear can barely do 150, to be specific, compare Drain Essence with Ether Ray. Imbalances like that are a matter of you guys bringing it to our attention. We're not going to play literally every build that exists, and balance patches. I can tell you that Arcanist is actually seeing a few changes in the next patch, which will probably hit around the time the expansion comes out, that will rebalance the skills a little bit across the board for Arcanist. Particularly Ether Ray as well. Are mutators going to be a thing that modders will be able to play around Forgotten Gods? You really want to make a Blamth zone now? Yeah, absolutely. You could make a challenge area that has one mutator that ever appears in it. That's just always that one. It doesn't change, if you wanted to. You can make completely new mutators. You could change how many mutators appear in an area. You could change how difficult the monsters are. Am I not worried to scare off the more casual players who already have issues going through set content or normal elite? Not too concerned. I mean, if there is going to be an issue, we can make changes to the balance. But the mutators and such, the scaling is per difficulty. So the mutators and the intensity of the mutators and the modifiers the monsters get to their health and other stats are different on Ultimate versus normal. For example, on normal, a Treacherous Domain hardly has any damage increase at all for regular monsters, whereas on Ultimate, there is a damage increase. Make a leveling set that gives plus 10 to all skills. That sounds like a great idea. Post-release stuff. Hashtag best devs. How high is the chance for a new class? It's a chance, I guess. Is there a chance of you guys making character packs like Diablo 3 did with the Necromancer? I think that is very unlikely, due to the fact that since the Grim Dawn is not always online, we don't have a way to kind of lock you out of certain bits of content. So if someone owns the 10th Mastery DLC pack and someone does not, those people could literally not play multiplayer together because their game versions would be incompatible, which is why we don't do little DLCs like that. We just go all out with big expansions. Do I mean build diversity below best in slot gear or only best in slot gear? I'm not sure what that question means. Isn't build diversity just in general improved when things are improved? Is there going to be more space in the stash for loot? We are adding another tab to both the personal and transfer tab. Or stash. Is there a mutator pool for roguelike areas or is it completely random? The same mutators you run into in the Crucible, you will run into in these challenge areas. And that they're completely randomized. It's not like a select fixed pool. It selects from the whole list. Is there going to be any changes to enemy scaling? Preventing faction gains is way brutal. Not sure what you're referring to here, what issue you're talking about. Will we be adding things that'll make you love the game more? Probably. Let's say yes. Those mutators in dangerous, treacherous areas work with every rogue dungeon, right? Yes. Port Valbury, Bastion of Chaos, Ancient Grove, those are all included in this new challenge area layer mode. Does re-entering a dungeon reset reshuffle the mutators? I mean, you can't re-enter a roguelike dungeon already. So, not sure what you mean. Like, if you enter the same dungeon in a new session, there will be new mutators, yeah. I will never directly confirm Sentinel. I'm not sure what Sentinel you're talking about. That would be such a weird thing to show in a character list and call it something in particular. Such a weird leak. Accident. Mistake. So weird. Some quality of life improvements planned, like easier crafting mythical relics. Probably won't be any major changes to crafting system at this point. I think if we did a sequel, we would definitely make some changes to the way crafting works. Will we be able to feed the skull next to the minimap as a side quest? He looks pretty hungry. Every time you die, he gets fed. Do mobs in the Shadow Realm give faction rep? They do not. Can you see the Zantai constellation too? I'm flattered, but I do not have my own constellation in Grim Dawn.
That skill's not ready.
But I added them to the game, so I mean they're all kind of my constellations. I don't use that teleport enough. We need two for streams, one to read chat and one to play the game. I mean, whenever Grava streams, I am the one who's reading the chat, but when I'm streaming, I end up doing both. But Grava is the one that usually streams, so, you know, most of the time. And you guys just have a lot of questions today. There's just too many of you. How many people are we even up to right now? 343. Nice. How has Crate taken a decade-plus engine and created the defining ARPG in your opinion of this decade? Working in banking with Excel, VBA gives me headaches. How do you rewrite the engine being an indie studio? By having experienced programmers who know what they're doing, I guess. I mean, that's kind of the gist of it, is you need programmers that know how to do good work. We have some talented people on the team that put in a lot of time, sometimes their own time. Like, the programmer has definitely spent some late nights just getting something to work in the game because he was just that committed to making it awesome. Geyserman Constellation when? What if the new Nemesis is named after him though? After me? I mean, technically several of the Nemesis bosses are named after me, since not all of them were claimed by other developers on the team. Zantarin is the one that's literally named after me. That's why he never gets nerfed. GD is too popular. Need to get rid of some of these fans so there's less questions. That's right. That's the real problem here. There's too many people interested. Grava said he might make a secret map of devs as monsters. Some secure. Is this coming for Gun Gods? Probably time permitting. That's one of those things that really only happens at the end. So once everything is done, we've written all the lore notes, we've balanced all the bosses, all the maps are done. That's when we do fun stuff, like the secret quest. Worst case, I'll probably just spend some evenings making sure something exists. Because I can't not add another secret quest. Does this programmer really exist? I mean, we don't like to talk about it, but yeah. The programmer was a part of all of us all along. The program is just like Santa. Ha! Don't tell him that. Some say the programmer is just a myth. You were hoping each level would have a mutator for roguelike dungeons. Well, we're not even in the roguelike dungeon yet, but there are going to be more mutators once you get inside the roguelike dungeon. This is the pre-roguelike area. There's just one mutator out here. Zantai is nerfed though, isn't he? I mean, he was a little unfair with how he blew people up, so I gave him more of a tell when he's casting his big AoE that one-shots people. He thinks Zantai needs to be buffed. You fought him several times with trashy character and always killed him with no issues. I mean, if you're experienced of the game, that's kind of natural progression. You're eventually going to be pretty adept at killing Nemesis bosses. Once you know how Gravathul works, it can be pretty easy too. Lower the game volume a bit more. It's already so low. Will there be something crazy like the cow level? I don't think we'd ever do a cow level. I think that's been done. Do you have an agenda for these streams, or do you always wing it? I mean, we have an agenda, but it's a brief agenda. It's generally answer your questions and show you a thing. In this case, the goal was to show you the Shattered Realm, and it was to show you the challenge areas, which I've done. And as a bonus at the end, which we're getting close to, I will show you the Korvac constellation. Can you disclose how successful Grim Dawn is in terms of revenue gain? To make things easy, is it an okay gain, is it a good gain, or is it a very good gain? Is it an excellent gain? Wow, we just keep going up with the fancy words. Are we swimming in money? I mean, I wouldn't say we're swimming in money. We are doing very well for the size of the studio that we are. To this day, including sales, or like discount prices, Grim Dawn has sold over 1.5 million copies, and that's just the base game. Ashes of Malmith has sold a little over 20% of that. And we expect that Forgotten Gods will probably be less than 20%, but maybe you guys will surprise us. Do you know how to use a dedicated video card with this game? Because it always uses the integrated one. If you go to your NVIDIA or AMD panel, you should be able to force that if you're having that issue. Cow level except it's nothing but Gravathuls and Arcanes. Perfect. We'll be laughing our asses off when the Ashes of Malmith released Chupacabra was destroying everyone. A little. But he did need a little bit of a nerf. He was a little too hard for how early you could see him. The list of what I'm not allowed to say is long in the list of things I can. Not sure what you're referring to, because I've certainly said a lot today. Any chance for more potent components for two-handers, short of Baronet improvement? Any chance for Valdens to have more Inquisitor supports? There's a lack of points. That's a lot of questions. No, we're not adding more components to the game. Shard of Baronet improvement, meaning what? Making the component stronger? I think that component is just fine, considering that how many skill points it can potentially save you. Any chance of Valdun having Inquisitor support? I'm not sure that's necessarily the best idea. No need to swim in money when you have a yacht, huh? That's exactly. It's a yacht on top of a pile of money. It might be a 1/12 scale yacht, but hey, it's a yacht, right? Are there any optimization patches planned, or is there optimization included in the expansion? I mean, I'm not sure what sort of optimization you're hoping for. We've already made a lot of improvements to the engine's optimization, particularly with like the DirectX 11 update. If we ever find ways to squeeze out more frames, that is certainly something we'll do. But it's not like it's just a trivial thing, like, oh, just crank up the frames. That's where GD borrows your resources to mine a Dogecoin for crate. Dogecoin? How do you even pronounce that? Dogcoin? Is each roguelike going to have its own item set, or are they shared between all of them? Each roguelike will drop a piece of a shared item set. So if you want to get piece A of this set, you would do Steps of Torment. Piece B, Valbury, etc. So I don't think I actually have a skeleton key crafted on this character, so I'm going to cheat. Poop. Over the wall. And now you can see I'm in the roguelike dungeon, and we're now up to 3 mutators. Yeah, don't tell anyone. This is off the record, guys. Is there a release date for the expansion? There's a release date. Not one I can tell you. Will you be able to reroll dungeon set pieces? Yes, you would be able to use the new system to reroll that set. Unless, I forget. I forget if we decided to block that one or not. Because there's a few sets that we actually prevent from being transmutable, specifically into, oh sorry, it was into other set pieces. So you can't take certain predictable set drops and then just re-roll them into all the other sets in the game. Like the Creek set. What did you miss so far? I think you missed a few things. Just a few. Now I'll say a disclaimer now. You please do not sell your soul to buy Forgotten Gods. Forgotten Gods will in fact be available for your human currency. Yes, you would be able to reroll the Creek boots into Creek shoulders. Have I survived the Death Chamber? Actually, sure. That'll be the last thing I'll do before I show you the Korvac constellation. I'm gonna go into that death room, and we'll see if I survive on this character. No problem. The hardest part of the room is seeing what actually going on behind the wall of items. I mean, you can toggle off tooltips if you're really worried about that. Let's see what I missed here. Death Room needs a buff. I mean, I remember when this Death Room was like the hardest thing in the game? Some of you probably do. Any news on merging Elite Ultimate difficulty? We're not going to merge any difficulties. I have ideas for how we could alleviate your leveling concerns, but I don't think we'll ever merge difficulties. Will you need to complete the Forgotten Gods content to move on difficult, or is it going to be like Ashes of Malmeth? It's going to be like Ashes of Malmeth. The expansions are optional when it comes to unlocking difficulties. Oh yeah, Harbinger of Souls did get dispelled. Or not Yes, Harbinger of Souls, right. Oh no, because I exited, I forgot to turn it back on. See, I'm turning into Grava here. I'm forgetting to toggle on my own buffs. Faith Scarred? What was that? That's weird. It's like an item got renamed for some reason. Let's see. Any news on the overhauled retaliation concept? I can tell you that Forgotten Gods says going to make retaliation builds more interesting. Do with that what you will. What is my favorite playstyle? I mean, people ask me that all the time, I suppose. My favorite like class combination that I like messing around with that's literally not like a top tier build. I will tell you right now, it's a Spellbreaker, but involves like Shadow Strike and Torsion Sky Shard. Because I just find that really fun. Jumping around with Shadow Strike, dropping Sky Shards, then have that bound to Blizzard, of course. Did we get any more information about the new game mode? Yeah, you could say that. I think you might have to rewatch the stream if you missed that. Is there going to be a feature similar to Time Quest Ragnarok to create a character at high level? No, we're not going to do anything like that. I don't like that solution to the problem. You like my style, I bet you do. Are there new mutators in Forgotten Gods? No, we're not adding new mutators. It's the same list of mutators that you guys are used to. Unhappily married? I don't know whatever you're referring to. I am very happily married. My wife is an awesome lady, and very grateful to her. She sticks around with me. Will there be anything coming to help you with your Grave Chill Drain Essence build? I would say yes. We did definitely look into some of the transmuters that did not have as much item support, and make that better. Sky Shard is literally the worst procker for Blizzard, except if you can hit a lot of things with dot ticks. Okay. Can you say which classes masteries are going to be getting the most attention in terms of buffing or reworking stuff? I mean, that's something that just happens as we work on patches. That's not like Forgotten Gods is going to come out and there's going to be a huge overhaul. as we make improvements to the existing classes, whether that's tuning, I don't think we're really going to rework any skills. I'm not sure what you're expecting there, but any sort of tuning that happens over time, we release that in patches. And that is applied to the base game, it's applied to Ashes of Malmeth, and it's going to apply to Forgotten Gods once that's out. Are you going to cater to the stacking of mats similar to the Diablo 3 system that people were complaining about? I'm not sure which issue from D3 you're referring to. Will there be an option like different skill combinations to be loaded on a single character like in some MMOs? You're talking about like a skill bar and skill set. I forget what they called it in WoW and stuff. No, that's not something we're planning to do. Does my wife play Grim Dawn? Not really. I mean, she's had her share of playtesting, trust me. Overall, the over 6 years I've been working on Grim Dawn now. She's seen the worst of it and the best of it. Will two-handed melee Pierce finally get the respect it deserves? Yeah, I suppose it will. Can we get a duo GD stream with my wife? I mean, the biggest hurdle to that would be the fact that my wife is at work right now, whereas I'm at home streaming, from my office that I work at every day. So it would have to be like an evening stream to ever get my wife on it. Hey, you actually caught one of my streams. Cheers to all the great work in Grim Dawn. Thanks. Oh, you're talking about a dedicated materials tab. We actually considered that, and the problem was that we have too many components. So it's kind of too late, or we have to make some kind of new stash UI because it would need a scroll bar to fit all the spaces. So right now the answer to that is we're not going to do something like that. I think when we make a Grim Dawn 2, if we make a Grim Dawn 2, one of the things to do would be to have less components in the game. Will there be a new legendary item set to support both cold, frostburn, acid, and poison without converting all cold to acid or vice versa? That's very specific. I can't think of a set like that off the top of my head. I don't think so. How long do we plan on working on Grim Dawn? Is there going to be a GD2? Well, the Forgotten Gods will probably be the last big content release we do. Whether we do something afterwards, like something smaller like the Crucible, that remains to be seen. How long we support it with patches, it really depends on how the sales are going. As long as the game is active, the sales are steady, then there's reason to keep supporting the game and keep you guys interested. As for Grim Dawn 2, that's really too far into the future to confirm or deny. How long till we get said constellation? Alright. Let me switch characters here to a character that's a total cheater. Demo test. My loyal tester character that's so broken it's not even funny. His quest progression is just all over the place. Let's see. Let's get some affinity here so I can show you it in all its glory. And there you go. The Korvek constellation. Can you expect the expansion to come out this year? Yes, you can definitely expect that. Can you expect any changes to the leveling process, or is it not required to unlock all difficulties? I don't have any announcement for you at this time. There's an idea I have, but it really needs to be discussed with the programmers to see how viable it is, how long it's going to take, whether it's going to break everything, and depending on how that goes, we might have something for you. Will we be getting more mythic versions of items that still don't have them, or does that come down to enough people asking for it? I think generally it comes down to enough people wanting an item to come back. There is one set I can think of that is going to get a mythic version that did not previously have one. You expect Korvac to have more limbs? What's the new skill for Korvac's Deception Relic? Um, it's like Primal Strike, but fire. Show skill, please. Now, don't expect it to be quite that nice. I think I've given you quite a bit to mull over today. Maybe another time. How are we doing on the Xbone port? It's kind of going through the certification process. Like, we have to check off all the boxes before it can be put up on the Xbox Marketplace effectively. How much of the stream have you missed? Pretty much all of it, because we're actually going to be stopping here pretty soon, unfortunately. Zantai is evil. Oh, thank you. Oh, could I click the select class button for you? What for? Plans for a Switch port? Not very likely. Primarily due to performance concerns. The Switch just doesn't have as much juice as the other consoles. And the infrastructure for the Switch itself is just very different. The Xbox was actually the easiest to port to of the three. Could I stop now? You need to go soon. I mean, I'm pretty much just gonna answer a few more questions here before I need to sign off and get back to work. But as far as new spoilers, this is gonna be the last one for tonight. I think you got quite a few today. Somebody get Russians to hack my computer so you can see the stats. That's not very nice. I've been so nice to you for the last hour and a half, and you want to hack me? When I have finished making Grim Dawn, will I stream Grim Dawn for old time's sake? I'm gonna say never say never. We'll see. What am I gonna work on? Right now I'm actually working on all the new items in the game. So the stats are actually finished on all the items, and now we have to go through the joyful process of getting them into the game. I have to make all the skill modifiers, all the skill procs. But yeah, I mean they're almost done in terms of stats. The art, there's still a lot of art left to do. Can I do a draw and name one of the items from one of the current viewers? I think if I was going to do something like that, I'd have to announce it ahead of time, because that's not really fair to the people that didn't know that was coming. But thank you all that stopped by today to hang out with me. Hope you enjoyed the spoilers. I dare say there were quite a few. I'm gonna open the portal one last time, because this portal's awesome. I'm doing it. Oh man. Here it goes. Whoosh. Alright guys, thank you very much for stopping by the stream today. I hope you enjoyed this first look into the Shattered Realm. Sorry that the boss didn't spawn. We'll get that fixed before you have to deal with it. And we'll see you next time. Take care.